"Gore, come here and eat meat." A lively little tiger cub ran around. It was very mischievous. It didn't look like a wild tiger at all, but rather like a cute kitten. Where did this little tiger cub come from? Why was it so obedient? Atwood lived alone in a very remote mountain village, and his parents had passed away early. Being very poor and over 40 years old, he couldn't get married. Besides cultivating some fields, he also worked as a ranger and went on patrols in the mountains every other day. Having grown up in the mountains, the ranger job wasn't too difficult for Atwood. He thought the job could be done easily and provide additional income, so he liked it a lot. One winter morning, Atwood was hiking through the mountains, trudging through the snow. Through the snow didn't reach his knees. He walked so slowly that he had to stop and catch his breath before continuing. Suddenly, Atwood heard a faint whimper and came to an abrupt stop. At first, he thought it might be his imagination, but just as he was about to continue, the voice sounded again. Atwood pushed through the thicket and saw that the little tiger cub had many bite marks from other animals on its body. It also had a bone on its leg that looked broken. Atwood observed the injured animal and couldn't bear to leave it alone. So, he picked it up slowly and quickly descended the mountain. When he arrived home, he found some torn clothes, laid them on the floor, and placed the little tiger cub on them. He quickly searched for medicinal herbs to stop the bleeding and applied them to the cub's injured spot. The boy's leg bones were exposed, so they had to be tied together. Atwood went to the door to find some wooden sticks to secure the legs of this little tiger cub. After the little tiger cub was bound, it slowly got dark. Even though it was dinner time, Atwood didn't think about cooking first, but instead he got some food for the little tiger cub. But he didn't know what to give it. Suddenly, Atwood remembered that the family dog had recently given birth, so he decided to try giving it some dog's milk. The little tiger cub lowered its head and stuck out its tongue, licking slowly and drinking after a while. The man said that as long as it was willing to eat, it would surely survive. Atwood spent a lot of time with the tiger cub. Over time, the injuries were almost healed. The man named it Gore and they lived on. After more than half a year, this little tiger cub had grown into a majestic tiger and often followed Atwood up the mountain. Over time, Atwood kept Gore by his side. Gore frolicked through the forest and didn't look like a tiger, so Atwood felt it was time to let it return to nature. The next morning, Atwood took Gore into the forest. He squatted down, stroked its head, and spoke to it even though it didn't understand his words. He hoped that Gore could understand what he meant, which was to go back to nature. After they were in the wilderness, Gore seemed to realize that Atwood treated it differently on that day. Finally, they decided to part ways, so he turned around and walked down the mountain. But Gore stayed close behind him and didn't leave until Atwood got angry. Gore had never seen Atwood angry before. Perhaps he was scared and didn't dare to follow, so he ran desperately back up the mountain. After that, Atwood continued patrolling on the mountain. But one day, Atwood suddenly fainted on the mountain. Coincidentally, he was seen by Bonnie, who was climbing up the mountain and calling Atwood's name. After a while, Atwood woke up and Bonnie helped him down the mountain. Bonnie's family was also very poor, and she dropped out of school in the 3rd grade of elementary school. To make a living, she could only rely on the family's fields and chop firewood in the mountains. She spent almost half of her youth there. Since Bonnie helped and saved Atwood from the mountain, they had more and more interactions. Bonnie's frugality impressed Atwood. One day Bonnie gathered the courage and confessed her feelings for Atwood. He was very happy and thought he should take the initiative and confess his love as well. 2 years later, the two got married. At that time, Atwood was almost 50 and he and Bonnie led a happy life. They had a lovely daughter who was very well behaved and sensible, always accompanying Atwood up the mountain. In life, people may face all sorts of problems and no one knows when an accident will happen. Atwood's condition worsened and he developed problems with his right kidney. The high cost of the operation made Atwood give it up. He left the hospital and returned home after just a few days with fluid transfusions. Afterward, Atwood acted as if nothing had happened, and even Bonnie believed that the medicine prescribed by the doctor was taking effect. 3 years later, Atwood's condition worsened again, which made Bonnie even sadder. Atwood's left kidney was severely atrophied as well as his right kidney, but Atwood said he felt better and had less pain. When summer came, it was the wildfire season. Even though they were cautious, Atwood couldn't prevent a disaster. A wildfire broke out and Atwood knew something was wrong when he saw some smoke rising from the nearby mountains. The fire spread rapidly. Atwood had no time to react and the fire advanced towards him with the wind. Atwood simply ran down the hill, not paying attention, and stumbled, causing him to fall. With a loud bang, a tiger appeared in front of him. This scene seemed familiar to him. Before he could think, Atwood was flanked by the tiger. He didn't want to be eaten by this beast or turned into ashes. Atwood closed his eyes, thinking that his physical condition wouldn't last long, so he decided to accept his fate. The tiger pulled Atwood's clothes and dragged him from time to time, which surprised Atwood. What happened to this tiger? The tiger didn't stop dragging, which gave Atwood hope, and it ran down the mountain in a direction. There was no time to think. He could only bear the pain and continue running down the mountain. The tiger led the way and remained watchful. Guided by the tiger, Atwood finally reached home safely. After the tiger sent him down the mountain, it rubbed against him a few times. Then Atwood saw the long scars on the tiger's leg. Although the little tiger cub had recovered from its injuries, the scars were still there. Atwood asked the tiger if it was Gore, seeking an answer. But the tiger stepped forward, shook the dust off its body, let out a long whistle, and then headed back up the mountain. Atwood was desperate. He didn't want the tiger to go back because the fire on the mountain was out of control and it would be dangerous. But the tiger disappeared into the fire as if it hadn't heard him.